people who were interested in creating opportunities for cross-cultural sharing. And I think we try to do some of that every year and include something. Last year we had the birch bark canoe, the woman who had made the birch bark canoe. And the year before that we had a dancer in regalia explain powwow traditions and such. And we're always happy to have any more information that we can and learn something about this place that we share. And so we're really, really excited today to invite Sherry Copenace to come. Sherry's the keeper of the Treaty 3 drum. And so here is this lovely drum here in our person. And here's lovely Sherry. And she has a group of people with her that are also going to, well, I'm going to let Sherry explain. It's going to be wonderful. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's welcome them.
Ahawa danemaganattaga nijo sek sagama kwawa seas muktigo atik dotem metega ninge ninde jittagui migoch dikit oesema gege katijikomat oe kibugosen migoange nina mach bit nakamigiziang tribit bachmango ette wegan oetish pebeka chinenemiat hatsukanag oe wane shaganashi moan wane amtagoji moan oe Pebeka geginoachi nenemik. Greetings, my relatives, all my relations. As you heard, my English alias is Sherry Copenace, but I just introduced myself and my 3 Anishinaabe names. My Nijosek is my birth name. My late paternal grandmother dreamt of that name before I came here to this physical realm, so that's my real name. And then my second name is Sagemakwe. I received that name when I was about 27 years old. And I call that my healing name. Because just like a lot of my indigenous brothers and sisters, I left this path for a little while. The path that creation gave to me. I fell off it, but I got back on it when I was 27. And then my third name is Wase Asamuk. And I received that name in that Medewan Lodge, that good and kind-hearted lodge. And we have 2 or 3, actually 3, one in Rat Portage, one in Northwest Bay, and one in Reed Narrows. And some of you might have read about it. And when I've read a few articles about that lodge, and they call it the Grand Medicine Society. But really, it's a lodge where you do your best and learn to be a kind and good-hearted person. And when you read about it in those books, sometimes they say it's a secret society, but it's not. It's not. So I'm going to speak about this beautiful grandfather drum that you see here. And this drum is called Peba Masage. And I know there was papers that handed around. I'm not going to read from that paper. I'll just speak from my heart here. But what that name kind of, I won't be able to translate it literally, but what it means is like an everlasting sunlight that shines everywhere and it travels all over the place. So that's the name of that drum. And what you're seeing here is they're lighting our pipe, the pipe that goes with that drum. That's one of our ways that before we begin. And it's much more, it's not an instrument. Of course it makes music, but it's our grandfather. And to me, I would treat it just like how I would treat one of my grandfathers. I treat it as a living being, and I take care of it in that way. I look after that drum in that way. So to me, it's a spiritual being. It's a spiritual being. And so that's what you see there, is that they're lifting that pipe. When we lift our pipes, what that means is we're honoring all of creation. There's much more to that. And when we do that, we're acknowledging that drum. So before we begin, the three men that are sitting around that drum, there's Howard Copenace, Alan Lachenette from Rat Portage, and Damian Green. And then I have my adopted sister here with me, Sheila Cameron Copenace. She's from Wapsamunk, and Howard is from Whitefish Bay. So when they're ready, they're going to render a song that belongs to this drum, because anytime we receive the gift like this, a sacred gift like this, before we lifted up this drum back in early 1990s, that a song came with it, and that song has been passed down from generation to generation. I don't know why that happened. I don't think I'm close to anything. Maybe it doesn't want me to wear this. I don't know. But why is that happening?
Something back here. You carry on.
Oh. So they're going to render this song, and then I will share the story of this drum after. So they'll render the song. Miigwech. Thank you. So that's the song. That's the song that belongs with this drum. And I'll speak a little bit about where this drum came from. This drum belongs to our Treaty 3 nation. It's our grandfather drum. It's referred to as the people's drum, but like I said, his real name is Peba Masage, and it's like a light, a sun that travels everywhere. And the man that actually first I'll talk about the vision. This vision of this drum was given to my late mother. Her name was Evelyn Copenace, the late Evelyn Copenace. She was originally from Whitefish Bay, Notkomegoning by Sioux Narrows there. And then she married my late father, and she came to where I come from, which is Ojibways of Onigaming, just right by Nestor Falls, Ontario. Anyway, she received this vision of this drum, and I'll tell you a little bit about that vision. It was in her dream state, of course, because a lot of the direction that we receive as Anishinaabe people, if we don't receive it passed down from generation to generation, we receive a lot of spiritual direction from our dreams, from our dream state. So that's how she received this drum. And in her dream, this drum was being lowered from that sky realm. It was coming down, and as it was coming down, it was all sparkly, and there was stars all around it, and the way it looked in the dream is the way that it looks right now. And when the spirit was talking to her, the spirit said, "This is for the people, and it will help bring the people together. And this is the song that belongs with the drum." So before she even made the physical drum there, she went to one of our most sacred ceremonies and asked for direction there, and they said, "Yes, make that drum for the people." So the person that was asked to actually make this drum the way it looks, his name was, he's gone on to the spiritual realm now, but Joe Red Thunderbird, I'm sure a lot of you knew him because he did a lot of work in this community. He used to be called Joe Tom, but he changed his name later to reflect his Anishinaabe ways. So he actually made this drum, and that's the way it looks. And in that paper that you have there, the top of the drum, you see people standing around in that circle, and there's a man and a woman and children, and they're all holding hands, and they're all green. And I often wondered why they were all green. And to me, what that means is it's about us as a human family. We all come from the earth. We all belong to the earth. Doesn't matter what nation we come from, we need the earth to give us life. That's where food comes from. That's where medicine comes from. That's where values come from. That's where water comes from. And without any of those things, none of us would be here. So that's how I come to understand that. It was for all of us to work together, to stand in equal, not one above the other, but to stand in equality, and even our children are represented in there. And there's also a rainbow there. And for me, what I was told is that for us as Anishinaabe people, that's the path we live while we're here on this physical realm. It's so many different beautiful colors. Like if you were in that spiritual realm, it would even be more vivid than how we see the rainbow today. And that's the life, that's the path that we're given to walk from east to west till we finish whatever work here we have on this physical realm. So there's a rainbow there as well. And it has 5 colors that you could see. It has green, yellow, white, red. Those represent the 4 directions, but really it represents those spiritual beings that sit at those 4 winds. And then the blue represents where life comes from, and that's Creator. Some people may refer to that being as a different, we all call that spirit in a different ways, but really it's that being who gives us life. It's that being who gives us life. So and then you see those shiny, so that represents that star nation. And to us, there's even a story as to how we came here as physical people, that we come from that star world. So that's why it's shiny like that. It represents that star nation. And it's interesting because I read a science article last year or 2 years ago, and scientists are saying that everything on Earth is made up of 88% stardust. So I thought, okay, yeah, our people knew that before the scientists. So every story that we have, science is affirming that now. All of our sacred stories that we have. So back to this drum here. What I've been taught is that that drum is to bring us together. It's about us being peaceful to one another. Not only us as Anishinaabe people, but everybody. And when, for instance, when that song was rendered, that sound goes to each and every one of us, but it also sounds to all of the universe. So you're sending whatever request that you're making, whatever spiritual request, you're sending it to all over the universe. And in turn, the universe answers you in whatever way that whatever good that you're asking for from this drum. And we have, all of our traditional drums have these 4 canes, I guess I would call them, but that's to represent that, because as Anishinaabe people, 4 is very important to us, and it represents those 4 winds. But we also know we say there's 4 levels of the sky realm and 4 levels of the earth realm. Like what I'm sharing with you is just very basic. Like if in order to learn these things, you would need to sit with these knowledge holders for days and days and days, and I'm still learning. Like whatever these people know, I probably only know just this much, probably just a little bit, or maybe nothing at all. So I make that time and effort to go and sit with them and to learn from them. And when this drum was lifted, because we have a ceremony, we don't just make it, we bring it into our communities, into our nation in a ceremonial way. So when it was lifted up for the people, it was the women of our nation that did that. It was the women of our nation that did that. They're the ones who lifted up this drum. And of course our men sing the songs, but it's the women who lifted it up to be recognized by all of us in our nation. And there's also 8 women that were spiritually selected to look after this drum. And 2 have gone on to the spirit world, but there's always someone who can step in and fulfill that role that's required. And we call them Ogichta Quig, and they're in that paper there. I wrote the names of the people in there. And one of them was my late mother. She's gone on to the spirit realm. And one of them was my aunt. Her name was Josie Kipling. She lived here in this community for a long, long time. She was a nurse at the hospital for a long, long time. And I still miss both of them because they helped me real lots with the work of this drum. But like I said, when they leave to the spiritual realm, there's people that naturally step in to assume those roles. And we also have 8 men who are spiritually selected to sit with this drum, but also other men can come and sit with them as required. And one of them is Howard Copenace, and the rest of those guys are named on there. And one of them happens to be our Grand Chief Ogichta Francis Kavanagh. So even before he was Grand Chief, he was part of this drum already. And they have a role. They sing the songs here. They know the protocols and the ways of how we look after this drum and what songs to sing, because sometimes when we bring this drum somewhere, people will ask me, well, what songs are they going to sing? Because they think it's like a song list. Then I'll say, the spirit of that drum will tell them which songs to render. It's not like how we go to a concert and you see that list. It's not like that. It's not a set song list. So that's the drum, and like I said, it's to help. And this drum has traveled all over North America, I would say. It's been called to many, many places. It's been called, of course, throughout our Treaty 3 territory, both Anishinaabe and non-Anishinaabe events, just like, it's been called everywhere to help. It's been called through Chiefs of Ontario. It's been called through Assembly of First Nations. And if anybody remembers that Crown First Nations gathering that happened in Ottawa, I think it was 2012, I don't know. I don't know if I should say this, but Stephen Harper was the Prime Minister at the time. But they asked for this drum to be there. So that drum was there when that gathering occurred, that Crown First Nations gathering. And he was there, and we talked to him, and he was very respectful of this drum. And that's to me, that's a good thing, that he was as a Prime Minister, he was very respectful to this drum. And he was very respectful to those elders that sat around the drum and to the woman around the drum. So that's, and also this drum was invited to the Capitol building in United States. This drum was invited by one of the congressmen there. So we brought the drum there to do whatever work that needed to be done within that building. So we got a special tour of that building as well when we were invited by the Congress to go there. So like I said, this drum has been doing its work, doing his work everywhere. And the only thing I can say about this drum is that it's very kind, it's very beautiful, and it helps a lot of people. He helps a lot of people, because a lot of people come to this drum to ask for healing, whether it's spiritual, whether it's mental, emotional, physical. A lot of people have come to this drum to ask for that. And so I think that's as much as I can say. There's more written on that paper. But I just want to thank the organizers for inviting us here, and for us to share a little bit about our ways and about our sacred relatives. Like, this is one of our relatives, and to us everything is alive. To us everything is alive, and we treat it in that way. And I know a lot of you have probably heard about water in the last few years, and we live by a beautiful, beautiful lake. And at one time, probably any one of us could have drank from that lake, but now it needs to be, cleaned before we can drink it. So that's one thing I would ask you as you sit here, for each and every one of you, to do something to take care of water, because we need that water to live. And we have a beautiful, beautiful lake here that all of us enjoy. And we still drink from that lake, but it needs to be clean before we actually drink it. So do something, maybe go talk to that water, maybe go sing for that water, or speak for that water, because sometimes that water doesn't have a voice, so you become the voice of that water. So that's what I wanted to share with you. But before we end, I wanted my brother Howard to come and explain just real briefly about the final song that we're gonna render for you. And I hope and I trust that what I said to you, maybe you'll learn something, one thing even, take one good thing with you when you leave here today. But this is the way that we live, and that's how we strive to live a good life for everybody.
Before we hear from Howard, can we take a few questions?
Sure. Well, I guess they want to know if anybody has questions.
Before we hear from Howard, does anyone have any questions for Sherry? So to repeat the question was, should we stand traditionally when the drum is being played in honor of the drum? Should we stand?
The only time that I stand is when they render a pipe song. Other than that, I'm told that we sit as close to Mother Earth as possible. And way back when, if I stood up during a ceremony, it was because I was not agreeing with something. So we're just starting to relearn those ways. So to me, it's good when people sit. But the way I've been taught is that when I'm speaking in front of people, it's me who stands up out of respect to all of you. But everybody else sits down.
That was a good question. Thanks, Wendy. Anyone else? Any other questions for the?
Did you have a drum before, and this is your most recent one?
So Karen's question is, was there a community drum before this drum, or did you not have one until the drum became reality?
I can't say for sure, but what little I know, we most likely had a drum as a nation here, but because through various things our life was disrupted or interrupted, and the spirits always are so kind to us that they gift us in ways so we can learn to live our life again in a good way. They're very kind.
Yes, Dawn.
I did see the pipe come out. Is it shared with the drummers, or is it shared more broadly?
The question was about the pipe that was smoked before the song. That was a pipe song.
Yeah,
So who shares in that ritual?
It's you, because this is a man's pipe, and you could tell by how it looks. The men smoke the pipe, and it depends on the event. Sometimes they'll get up and share it with all the men, but as women, out of respect to our men, we touch the pipe, the stem of the pipe. But we don't smoke a male pipe.
And they also touch the drum with the pipe.
Yeah,
before they
because
smoke.
they're symbolically letting the pipe, asking the pipe to be a part of that pipe ceremony.
So a man's pipe versus a woman's pipe, what does it look like?
This is Anishinaabe ways, and there's many different teachings, so this is what I've learned. So even within our 28 communities here, the teachings might be a little bit different, but the way the male pipe looks is there's a stem at like a point at the front, and for females there's none. It's just smooth, round and smooth.
Okay. Anyone else? It's making us think of more questions, right? Go ahead.
Women wear the skirts. What's the story of the skirts?
There's
The question was about the skirt. So is it respect to wear a skirt with the drum?
There's when we have ceremony, as women we're asked, but nobody is ever forced to wear skirts. And of course, over time, the way it looks has evolved. Like at one time, my skirt probably would have been up here, but I would have worn leggings. But like I said, it's evolved over time. But this particular drum, those 8 women, we have a special skirt that goes with. I didn't wear it today, but we wear it whenever we work with this drum. So those 8 women have a skirt to go with this drum. And the 8 men, which I haven't done yet, they're supposed to have vests as well that go with this drum. And that's what I mean, sometimes those things fall into place, you know? So
Over time.
over time,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead, Carolyn.
How will you determine who would be the next spiritual keepers of the drum, say, when all 8 women?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Did you hear it, Sherry?
She asked, how will you determine who will be the next spiritual keeper of the drum? So for me, because I was the oldest daughter, that's why it came to me. And when it came to me, I had lots to process.
It's a big
It's a real huge responsibility, but when I accepted it, I knew it wasn't a job. It was actually an honor to look after our grandfather. So as long as I'm here on this physical realm, I'll look after this drum. And then in my own family, I'm already kind of like looking at people to see who's gonna step in my place whenever, and I'll let them know. I'll let them know whenever that's supposed to happen. But I'm already looking at people in my immediate family to see who can assume that responsibility. And you're groomed, because those 7 other women that I was talking about, when I became a part of this drum, I was only 27. So they raised me up that way to look after this drum. Some of them are like almost 80 now.
I'm relieved to hear there's 8 of you, because I was worried you were.
No.
You were 8.
There's 8 of us.
What a
and
schedule.
like I said, that's a huge responsibility.
Uh-huh.
And when my mother died, like I said, I had a lot to process, and I didn't feel worthy to look after this drum. But I accepted that honor to be able to look after this drum. But I have 7 other women, and I have 8 men to help me with that.
Good. Now, are there ways that you have to feast the drum, or,
Yes,
or store it? Is there things that you have to do to honor it?
When this drum is at home with me, I keep it in my bedroom. Has a special place, just like how we would have a special place when we need to rest. Has its own chair. So I treat it just like a family member, and it's not it's dressed for work right now, but even he needs a rest every once in a while. So I make sure he has that rest, and he shares the bedroom with us, so that's his room too.
Any other questions? Yeah, Lynn? Clap. Yeah. So the question is it okay to clap, or is it like clapping in church? How does that?
No, it's okay. The drum hears everybody, and then to them, to me, it's spiritual, so it recognizes any language. I'm only a human being. I can only understand English and Ojibwe, but this one, he can understand anything.
Even clapping.
Yeah, even clapping.
Yes. Yeah. Celine?
Is there a greeting when a baby is born with the drums?
Is there a particular drum song or a greeting for a new birth?
Like I said, it's different at each, but what little I know, when you receive your name, you also receive your own song. So every Anishinaabe person has when you get your spiritual name, you get your own song too. And the person who's giving you that name, they'll render that song, because that's how that name comes. But like I said, there's so many teachings, I can only speak to what I've experienced. And this isn't the only drum. There's many drums in our territory, and there's grandmother and grandfather drums. And sometimes you see those little hand drums as well. But this one is a big drum. Yeah.
Yes, Louise.
Could you speak to
The offering?
that we're having?
Yeah, tell us about the offering.
Every time we bring the drum, we need to feed the drum. So when we're passing those berries to you, and I know it can't go to everybody, but we can go as far as we can. What we're actually doing is asking you to feast with this drum. And what little I know about that, when we do that, we fill our spirit, but we also fill they like being acknowledged, that spiritual realm. They like that we still remember them.
Well, thank you very much, Sherry, for sharing your teachings with us. And if the drum is known as a kind and beautiful spirit, it's got the right keeper, because I know you to be a kind and beautiful person. So you've found your calling. Yeah. Now, I'll give Howard this one, actually. You can keep that one in case there's some questions after. And I'll give Howard this one, and you can tell us about your song.
Haha. Good afternoon, everyone. Eoniga buntigo, shugomina ha Copenace, minam squatte, e makwandote. Good afternoon, everyone. I just introduce myself through the three spiritual names that have been passed on to me, and also the Bear Clan, and the ceremonies that I've gone throughout my lifetime on Mother Earth. And the teachings that have been shared today, as we all know, is about life. The life that's given to every one of us. And about life of the things that we live with, the different colors that were explained. The circle of the drum, the song, the offering of the food, the acknowledgement of the spiritual beings. And also, when we celebrate life, we are given these certain songs so that we can sing. And so the sound of that drum will travel throughout the land. It'll echo throughout the water, throughout the land, throughout the trees. So all life will hear these songs and hear the drum, that they are being acknowledged. And when we sing these songs, it is for life. Sometimes there's sadness in life, so there are songs for sadness. And there's many different songs that have been given to the people that have been gifted. And the song that we're going to be sharing with you is about life again. Because to Anishinaabe people, life comes in a form of a circle. They say our grandfathers, our grandmothers say we were given in life to walk in a circle. That is why Mother Earth is in a circle. That's why Grandfather Sun is in a circle. Our Grandmother Moon that watches over us at night is in a circle. Our lodges are circle. The drum is in a circle. And these are the ways that you are given, is to follow that circle of life. Because when we come here on Mother Earth, we learn things about life. We encounter things about life. We are given the gifts of the Anishinaabe. And once you walk through that life, and then you become to the stage of an elder or an adult, then the teachings you pass on to the children and grandchildren behind you. So that circle of life will continue and for generations to come. And these are the teachings that have been passed down to us. And the song that we're going to share with you is about that walk of life, walking through life. And also, when one of our loved one goes into the spiritual world, we sing this song for them so that they can have a safe journey into the other world. But here on Mother Earth, we usually sing this song when we come to a conclusion of a gathering, a celebration or a ceremony, so that we all travel in a good way to our loved ones that we come from, to our homes, to our roundhouses, to our lodges, so that when the drum sounds, then the spiritual beings will guide us in a good way to our homes. And the story, the teachings about this song came from, like Sherry says, from Rat Portage, about a man that was injured in a vehicle accident, and both of his legs had been broken, had been damaged very severely. And throughout the time of his recovery, a spiritual being had come to him during the time he was sleeping. And through that gift, that song was given to him. And then when he came out of it and woke up, he started singing that song. And this song is heard all throughout Anishinaabe country for that life, for that journey of life, and for that gift of life. So this is what we're going to be sharing with you this afternoon as we conclude our presentation. And one thing I'd just like to share before we do that is, like I said, everything, the Anishinaabe people are gifted in a circle. Grandfather Sun, the moon, the drum, and everything else, our lodges. Our brothers and sisters, they're gifted with a square house, a square automobile, square paper, everything. And also us Anishinaabe people, we have our round dances. And our brothers and sisters have square dances. Just kidding. How are you guys?
So welcome to the drummers, and thank you, Howard, for that. And this concludes Common Ground 2018 with this song. Thank you all for coming, and we hope that the drum will carry you home safely from our event, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year.